good for the environment statement didn't make a dent. It's Rhyme and Reason 947. Hey there, Tony here. How you doing today? I hope you're ready for another flash of light from the Fundercast here, because I got to share this story. I just saw it again recently, and you've probably seen some version of it, but it's about what happened when a young cashier told an older woman, this is the quote I saw, "You should bring your grocery bags next time because plastic bags aren't good for the environment." Yeah, you got to use that kind of voice because that's how they talk, you know. Well, much to his chagrin, that's a cool word, the older woman shared some actual good for the environment facts, and I don't think the clerk was expecting all this. Here's the story version that I saw. The woman apologized. "Oh, we didn't have this green thing back in my day." And the young clerk said, "Well, your generation didn't care enough to save the environment for future generations." Boom, bad thing to say there. Well, the woman gave him a firm stare and a hard grin and said, "Back then, we returned milk bottles, soda bottles, and beer bottles, and the store sent them back to the plant to be washed, sterilized, and refilled, so they could use the same bottles over. They were recycled. Grocery stores bagged our groceries in brown paper bags, which we reused for a lot of things. We walked upstairs because we didn't have an escalator in every store and every office building. And we walked to the grocery, and we didn't climb into a 300 horsepower machine every time we had to go 2 blocks. Back then, we washed the baby's diapers because we didn't have those throwaway kind. And we dried clothes on a line, not in an energy-gobbling machine burning up 220 volts. Wind and solar power did dry our clothes back in our day. And kids got hand-me-down clothes from their brothers or sisters, not always the brand new clothing. Back then, we had one TV or radio in the house, not a TV in every room. And the TV had a small screen the size of a handkerchief, not an energy-draining screen the size of the state of Montana. And in the kitchen, we blended and stirred by hand because we didn't have electric machines to do everything for us. When we packaged a fragile item to send in the mail, we used wadded-up old newspapers to cushion it, not styrofoam or plastic bubble wrap. And back then, we didn't fire up an engine and burn gasoline just to cut the lawn. We used a push mower that ran on human power. We exercised by working, so we didn't need to go to the health club to run on treadmills that operate on electricity. And we drank from a fountain when we were thirsty instead of using a cup or a plastic bottle every time we had a drink of water. We refilled writing pens with ink instead of buying a new pen. And we replaced the razor blades with a razor instead of throwing away the whole razor just because the blade got dull. Back then, people took a bus and kids rode their bikes instead of turning their moms into a 24-hour taxi service. We had one electrical outlet in a room, not an entire bank of sockets to power a dozen appliances. And we didn't need a computerized gadget to receive a signal beamed from satellites 23,000 miles in space to find the nearest burger joint. But the current generation laments how wasteful we old folks were just because we didn't have the green thing. Well, the cashier stood there still and quiet as the old lady found her wallet to pay. And then the lady turned to leave, but she stepped back and turned toward the cashier and she said, "You have a world of knowledge in that little device in your hand. Pity you just use it to gossip, take pictures, and waste time. It would do you good to search a bit of history before you embarrass yourself like this again." That's cool. I love that story. I don't know if I'm as old as that old lady, but I can relate to every example she shared. Trust me. And in fact, I can remember living in a house where the cooking was done entirely with a wood-burning stove. Yes, I lived in that house. And for a long time, there was an ice box instead of a refrigerator. An actual box with ice in it, not a plugged-in refrigerator. And we ate food that came from a chicken, cow, pig, or garden just outside the farmhouse doors. Yeah, that means we ate food that might have been walking around the house yesterday. It was that fresh. But today, younger people think they know what's good for the environment because of all that regurgitated nonsense they soak up in schools from TV and online. And that's why I wrote this a long time ago.
You want the answers to all of your questions and up and conquer. Let all the world know just where you stand. You want to live in a fat-free environment, and you want to make sure the ozone is intact. And so you watch all those service commercials, and it's just so easy to sit back and react. Is it just melodrama for me to feel this way? I wonder, is it just me, or does it all sound so cliche? Does it sound that way? So cliche, yeah. I wonder, does it all sound so cliche? Give your money to so many causes, and still you struggle to pay off your own debts. You hope for world peace and ending the hunger, but will you ever do what no one has done yet? You train yourselves and prepare for the future, but each day the future takes on a new look. You might do better to look inside your own heart, and you might discover it's not in some law book. Is it just melodrama for me to feel this way? I wonder, is it just me, or does it all sound so cliche? Does it sound that way? So cliche, yeah. I wonder, does it all sound so cliche?
Yeah, the world today is full of cliche, but not a whole lot of substance to it. Well, I hope you got something out of this. I enjoyed bringing it to you. Once again, remember, all the Fundercast episodes are brought to you by TonyFunderburk.com, where I invite you to go over there and subscribe to the Funder Flash Journal and join the growing body of believers who get my daily flash of light from the power of God's love.